Right, okay, folks, welcome to this week's Friday Waffle. I'm joined by my old mucker, Mr. Neil. How are you, Squire?
Oh, okay.
It's actually nice to have you sitting here giving me abuse rather than giving me abuse in the streams.
That's what you're there for.
So, bloody hell, how are you enjoying the weather, mate?
Betty Swallocks.
That's the thing, you know, I think...
Like you either complain it's too hot or...
We do. I mean, that's if it wasn't for the fact, if you couldn't talk about where you're going on holiday this year or talk about the weather or something, Brits would have literally nothing to talk about.
Excellent cuisine.
Eh?
Yeah.
I mean, I do like the nice weather, but I think the problem I've got is in the UK we don't have air conditioning. Most people don't have air conditioning. I actually thought it was a couple of weeks ago. It's when we had that really hot Monday and Tuesday, and I was lying in my bed about midnight, and I thought, oh my God. And I went on to Amazon, it was like the air conditioning unit, and it was like 400 quid, and I'm like, no, that's a lot of money. And I'm like, and then I looked at one for 30 quid, and I was hovering over the buy it now.
Oh no, don't buy the cheap one.
And then I just thought,
and
I thought, wait a minute, it's going to be pissing the rain on Wednesday, and it's going to be freezing cold. We'll be complaining.
The cheap ones are just evaporative water, and you got to keep changing the breeding ground.
So I just thought, yeah, I mean, as it Billy Connolly says, summer was last Thursday. You know, what I mean, that's quite literally it. I mean, I know.
Summer's today and tomorrow.
Is it? It's to be nice over the weekend, actually. So great. So, anyway, how's your week been, mate?
Quiet.
Just not up to you. I think I got a bit of tan actually. You still getting away for you were was it last year? You were doing a lot of kind of like wild camping and things like that.
It was 3 years ago. I went and then. That's why I'm wearing that on my knee.
Of course, you went over your ankle, didn't you? You fell in the river.
I was using my walking. If you go hill walking, never ever buy the sprung walking poles. The shock protection, because you reach down, you're checking, it feels solid. Put it down, put it thing. My pole just kept going into the bottom of the burn. Fell over, arse over tip, knee right onto a hard rock.
Jesus.
Phone in my front pocket, soaked. Camera in my trouser pocket, soaked.
Both ruined with it?
Still using. Dried out.
So was it old rice in a box into the airing cupboard?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Now went on to eBay, bought myself a big huge box of the silicon do not eat packets.
Oh right.
Just in case. It's always handy to have. So.
That's the thing. If you had decent weather, you could actually put your phone in rice outside, but in Scotland, the warmest place in your house is the airing cupboard. Where your towels are. So yeah,
I've seen some crappy places. The warmest place was the fridge.
So what have I been doing? Was it my cook school on Monday? Yeah, cook school on Monday. No, you don't know what my cook school is? My martial art that I go to.
Oh
yeah.
Fannying about in his pajamas.
Yeah, I'm up to a dizzy yellow willow, you know. I've got my you got it. Okay, you could take me obviously, but no, I'm quite enjoying it. I was meant to be there not last night. Well, technically it was last night because this is actually getting recorded yesterday, but we're trying to pretend it's actually today. I was meant to be.
So all these questions come up.
Yeah, I was meant to be there last night. It started at 7, and I don't know if it's an age thing, but I find when I get home from work, I have my dinner, I sit down there. Put the TV on, I'll just rest my eyes for 5 minutes before you fall asleep. And I woke up at 6:30. I thought, shit, I better go and get ready for cook school. And then I went on, I just had a quick look at Facebook and it says, just a reminder that the classes now start at 6:30. I'm like, oh no, bollocks. So I didn't end up logging out.
Before I could drink, I used to get back from the pub, lie down, go out when you went afternoon drinking. You wake up, look at the watch, 9:30. Oh, Jesus Christ, I'm late for work.
Never done that, I must admit. But anyway, yeah, listen, we've got a few little choice nuggets to kind of waffle about now. I hope the cameras can't actually see them. Yeah, I know we've spoken about it in the past. The mini systems, now my latest purchase mini system wise, that my delightful assistant will showcase these. Yes, one of these things actually looks quite ugly with that thing. The mini A500. Have you tried? Have you seen that running at all? I think one of the guys.
I've only played with it at the club.
I
was seriously thinking about getting one, and the replacement controller they did looks really tempting. It's only 20 quid, so and it feels really good.
Well, actually, what kind of controller are you?
It's like the old CD32 controller.
Aye, well, it comes with it. Yeah, it comes with it.
They also sell it separately.
Oh, right. Why would you want to buy it separately? Because is that better?
Because I don't want to buy that.
So what are you talking about? Oh, I've got right. Oh, so you want to buy a controller to use in your computer?
Yeah.
Really?
Or to use on my Mister.
Really?
Yeah.
I see. I would say that the controller, but hang on, I could do a jump cut, but Neil can keep me entertained. Yeah, one of these. See, you could be juggling or something, or doing a card trick while I'm away. Right, yeah, I'm back, so it's pointless now. Right, yeah, there's the. That's interesting to say that. It's interesting to hear you say that you would actually go and buy that.
Yeah.
Whereas to me, that would be the weakest point of it. I don't like gamepads for.
It's for some games they're good, and it just feels good in the hand.
I have to say, I mean, I've got a CD32, and that probably feels better.
Yeah,
it feels
decent quality.
As we would say in Glasgow, it's pure quality, man. I would say it is actually. It's
not bad.
It's reassuringly heavy. You know what's actually interesting? I watched a video, and apparently they actually put a weight into these just to make them feel a bit heavier. I don't know if that one's got one. Has that one got one?
I think it has. I think
the thing literally takes up a tiny wee section, and the rest is you're not opening it up. You can actually see through it if you look through there. You can see fresh air through it.
I can see the weight there.
Yeah, got to say though. I mean, as a little thing to put on your shelf. It's actually. I'm trying to figure out if it's actually in scale. What do you think?
8, 2, 3, 1. I think it is in scale.
It's very well made. What I was trying to figure out, I mean, the same company. What's the company that makes them? Retro Games Limited. Yeah, they make this as well. Would you say that is actually? Would you say that they're actually in proper scale?
Not to each other, no.
Nah, that would be quite a bit bigger, wouldn't it? Yeah, the C60. I think the Amiga was probably almost double the width or double the depth, because that was a big bugger from back in the day. Did you ever own an E500?
Yeah, I've still got it.
Yeah.
I'm still halfway through. Well, I've got all the bits together. Bought the 8500 plus board.
Oh, right, okay, yeah.
That was my originally 500 plus. It's been in the loft for about 25 years. It's probably battery's probably leaked.
Yeah, I think that's quite a common thing. But what's your, without wanting to kind of go over all ground, what's your kind of take on these systems? Do they have a place? And if so,
I think they're interesting. They're just mainly for people who've got memories of them and like to have them and think they look good. Just toys, really.
I think
all games are toys. So
yeah, well, absolutely.
I mean, but if you want them, yeah, fine. It's.
I mean, I think who do you think is the target market of these things?
Sad middle-aged gits with baseball hats.
Hang on, wear some backwards. Yeah. I can't put my head. So technically, it just depends what we're doing. I think the target market of these they're aimed at guys probably similar age to ourselves. They're out with their girlfriend, and she's like, "What?" Sorry, I'm stereotyping. They're out with their girlfriend, boyfriend, their partner, whatever you want to say, and they're like, "What do you want for your birthday?" "I don't want anything." "Oh, look at one of these! I remember playing sensible soccer and that." Oh. And yeah, it's for people who are probably not into video games.
Yeah,
I would say, because people like ourselves and the people that are watching this video, we are hardened gamers.
well, people watching this video, we've got other ways of playing everything already.
Yeah. So why would I buy one then? Do you think?
Because we've got multiple ways of playing.
It's like, well, you know what? The first thing that I did, and I've said before, top tip: if you do buy one of these Amiga, sorry, they're not called Amiga, they're called the A500. They can't use the word Amiga.
Yeah, they haven't got the...
Don't upgrade it. Do not upgrade it, because if you upgrade it to version 1.11, you'll lose the ability to play RetroArch, and well, I think the
Can
CD.
Can you downgrade it?
Well, now what you do is I'm not going to put it in this video, but it's dead simple. There's a wee bit of software you put on the SD card on your USB stick, and then when you boot it up, it gives you the choice: do you want to boot to the latest firmware, or do you want to run with the oldest one? So you've got the choice of both without physically up. If you pull out the USB stick, it runs the old version. So don't upgrade it, because you can run RetroArch, and apparently the emulators that are on RetroArch are better than the stock emulators. So if you want to play CD32 games, they're much better using RetroArch.
But you've got to remember, the majority of these games, they're not going to be bought by people who just want to play the game, and they'll be happy with what. 20 games it comes with.
Aye, 24 games. In fact, have you got the box there? Is that the box at the side there? There's the box there, mate. See on the right hand side.
Oh,
you'll see it there. Yeah. Let's have a look at the games that come with it.
Which one's the other one? Right. Another World.
Yeah,
that was absolutely awesome.
That was still is a good game. Have you completed it?
No.
No, neither have I. Funnily enough,
I think I only got by maybe the first 5 screens, because I didn't buy it. Did you ever notice that when you played a pirate game, you rarely played it all the way through?
Yeah, and you know, and
if you bought the game, you played it all the way through.
And you know what? That's sad reflection of me. I have bought thousands of games over the years, but I don't mind admitting, with the Commodore 64, I mean, I bought loads of games. In fact, you know what? Actually, I probably bought more games for the C64 than I pirated them. The Amiga, I'll have to say, once I was aware of piracy, I bought very few games. I really did, and it's the same with the Sony PlayStation. I call it the PlayStation syndrome.
Did you ever go down the bars in Glasgow?
It was usually Ingleson Market I went to. I did on occasions go to the bars, but yeah, we can all remember putting on your Amiga 500. You had the 4 or 5 trays of discs, and you go the thing, and you put them on your multi discs that had like 4 or 5 games on, and you would play it for 10 minutes and go, I'll just play something else.
I'm a bit like that when you've got MAME now. You play something. I'm not in the mood for this. I fancy a game of this. No, I'm not in the mood. You get so much choice.
I keep meaning, actually. I mean, I've got my 3 MAME cards through there, and I keep meaning to. I would love to actually go through and physically remove probably 95% of the ROMs and just have the ones that I want. I know you can do favourites, whatever, but yeah, there is. It's a very, very true saying that too much is not a good thing.
That's one thing we should do as well. It's more modern. I don't know about you, but my Steam games, the list, because I've got this habit of buying humble bundles.
You like 45 games.
45 games
for 3 pence.
And I've got so many games in there. I don't know what a lot of them are.
Yeah.
I've never installed a whole load of them. So to be alright, it's fun to go through them and just see what there is.
See, the thing is, you've just touched about, well, the second game on this is Zool. If you only had these 2 games, you would play them.
Yeah.
Because you've got, once you've got an SD card in this thing, you've got access to about 2,000 games.
Zool I enjoyed, but it was good, but I just found, as we were talking about earlier, play games for enjoyment. You got all these people, you've got to play it on the hard level. On the hard level? Why?
I wasn't a massive fan of Zool. I remember being quite excited at the time, because it was like Sonic killer. I mean, I never really liked Sonic, but Zool was the Amiga's attempt to try and get into the cool kids, the SNES, whatever.
Worms.
Never really go on with that.
I got them in a humble bundle, all the Worms games. And it's, at the time, it would have been absolutely brilliant. Do you remember the old Gorilla game on PC Basic?
No.
Where you just had to throw bananas at each other.
Nah, I've played one, was it called Tank or something? You basically have a gun turret sort of thing. So, yeah, the guy at my work was actually, he said that he was absolutely addicted to Worms. Him and his mates used to say they were like all shit hot at it. They were completely to like perfection, but never really go into the game. What's the next? Pinball Dreams.
Adult pinball fantasies as well.
Yeah. They were good. I mean, you know, it was the first. Well, I had a game in the C64, David's Midnight Magic, which was really kind of basic. But yeah, it was the first kind of pinball. That actual
physics.
That actual. That's my alarm. Excuse me a second. That's to go to my bed. What I was going to say, yeah, Pinball Dreams was actually the first. That was my first exposure to pinball. Because being a kid from central Scotland, the only arcades you ever got to go in, the only time I got to play arcade games was when we were maybe going down south on holiday and my mum would stop at the services for a piss. Oh, can I get 10 pence for a shot of Commando?
Oh, can I go to Blackpool?
So, nah, you know what, Mum and Dad, they dislike Blackpool. Can't think why, but
I don't know.
As I've said, the only good thing coming in Blackpool's the road headed out, but anyway.
Oh, you got the notebook.
I will review that because I'm going to be staying there. In fact, I don't mind actually putting this in the video. I have mentioned that I'm going to be doing all the panel talks this year, and when I heard that they'd put me up in the Norbrake, I contacted Steve, who's one of the guys that's kind of helping, and I said, I've heard terrible things about it, and he went, "No, I've stayed there 3 times and it's all right, it's all right." I said, "Well, I've seen the pictures of pubes and shite and stains and all that," and I said, "Well, I don't mind." I says, "Please don't take this as a threat." I says, "But if my room is a shithole, I'll be just going home." And I mean that, I'm not saying a shithole, but hopefully they'll and Lee's coming down as well. So yeah, I've told her, please don't Google TripAdvisor.
Every time I see videos of the rooms, I'm reminded in barracks when I was in the
TA. Only not quite.
The interesting stains you got on the bedding where you're given out. Take it to your corporal who circled it in ink so you didn't get the blame for it.
Anyway, so getting back to pinball. Because I only got to play arcade games in like cafes or whatever sports centres, you didn't get a pinball table in these places. The only place I think you could get to play pinball would be going down to an arcade, and we never. I mean, what was your kind of exposure from arcades when you were younger growing up?
Going on holiday.
Where did you live when you were born? Where did you stay?
I was born in Yorkshire, but moved up to Edinburgh when I was that weekend. So holidays in Blackpool. Usually in the autumn, with a couple of family aunties and uncles. So you got holidays on the Norfolk Broads.
Yeah.
So you always went to Great Yarmouth.
They were Great Yarmouth, and what's the other? We were trying to remember that a couple of weeks ago. In England, this thing about on sea. What's it called? There's bloody hell.
There's loads of places.
Thing about on sea, Southend on Sea. When I think of that Southend, I think of Stuart Hall and it's a knockout. Southend on Sea. It's a knockout.
Operation U Street. Yeah. I remember going to Skegness.
Where is Skegness? That's in England, isn't it?
Yeah.
And yet that sounds more Scottish than Inverness. Skegness. By the way, if you're from Skegness, he's only joking. I do not condone anything this guy says.
No, I was in the Butlins.
And I'm only joking about Blackpool.
Me and my dad went to the Butlins for a week because my parents divorced.
Yeah.
So I took me to Butlins. We left after 4 days. It was absolutely dire. It was, oh my God, it was shit.
But so did you have much exposure to like pinball at all?
I remember.
Did you play them?
I always thought pinball was a wee bit kind of rough and ready game, and I loved playing it. I remember on holiday with all my cousins, we got about 5 different boats out on the Norfolk Broads. And stopped off at this pub and it had this one pinball game. I used to love playing it. It was great.
So I always find anytime I play pinball, I thought it's impossible. You know, I would last a minute because the ball would just go straight down. But then, of course, was like nudging the table. Was that part of the game? You had to try and nudge it without getting too kind.
I remember the Students' Union down in Plymouth had an arcade in the place, and they had about 3 or 4 pinball games. I was addicted to them.
So that was the pinball games was kind of my first exposure. Just when we're talking about arcades, I did talk about this a while back with the Lone Boys post. Do you remember that in the early arcades you had like remote control cars or remote control boats? And I mean, you were standing behind a perspex screen, and the playing area was probably like 4 feet by 4 feet.
I remember that.
And you had a big steering record that you controlled this remote control car.
I remember they had them in the Winter Gardens in Blackpool.
And you had boats.
Yeah.
Remote control boats. That was like that blew my mind.
Now, dude, we've got drones.
You always remember in arcades, and I would love to own one of these, but they'll probably go for stupid money. In the arcades, you had like the horse racing, and you had like the 3 coloured. You had like the slot for putting the money in, and then you had like the silver, gold, green, and blue, and like the silver was like 2 to 1 on. The green would be like 5 to 1 on, and the horses would race, and then they would go backwards to the start line, and then you had like 10 seconds to put a coin in. Then they also had one with like Electrics. It was cars going down a track. Remember that one? I loved them. They were great. They probably go for daft money.
Penny falls.
We were playing. I was down in the lovely Salt Coast a couple of weeks ago. Jesus, it makes Blackpool look like
excellent.
Bloody Los Angeles or something. But but yeah, pinball. So pinball dreams, I think pinball dreams was the first one, wasn't it? And then the fantasies.
Pinball fantasy.
Yeah, that. I think. What was your favourite table? I think the circus one was my favourite one.
I think whatever I got. There was a car one I didn't like.
Oh yeah, I do remember that. I think, but good.
Simon the Sorcerer, I never played it.
Point and click. Did you ever get on with these games of point and click adventures?
Never really got on with them, but just recently, because I had labyrinthitis a couple of years ago. Now, whenever I play a first-person shooter or something, I get motion sickness.
Yeah, really? Yeah, really? Like something
after about half an hour playing Doom. I bought that Stray, where you play a cat.
Oh, Ava was playing that last night.
I thought it was really good, but I couldn't play it for more than half an hour. I just started feeling nauseous.
And you never had that before?
Not since I had labyrinthitis. It's just basically all the canals in your ears get gumped up. When I first got it, I stood up. Got out of bed, stood up.
Was that just like earwax or something?
No.
Is it canals on the other side of your eardrum?
Yeah, they just stopped working. I stood up and I fell down. It was absolutely horrible. I remember I had to go into the office in Glasgow. I had to walk with a stick because I was going to fall down. And you're crossing George Square, and people must have been looking at it thinking he's cheeky.
Fighting drunk or something or what?
I had to hang onto a lamppost because I was going to fall down.
Bloody hell. How about you now? Like?
Okay, apart from playing first-person shooters.
Yeah, I mean, is it treatable?
Just time. Can be up to 6 weeks.
That sounds pretty nasty. But yeah, first-person shooters, point and click. The only ones of these, again, it was when I moved from the C64 to the Atari ST. Is it Sierra Online? They did all the King's Quest games, Leisure
Police
Suit
Quest.
Larry games,
Oh,
Police
Leisure
Quest.
Suit Larry was brilliant.
Aye, Leisure Suit Larry was awesome. Police Quest was awesome.
Never got into Police Quest.
I
Again, it was a pirated game. So
Yeah, well, I was the same. I mean, the graphics were shit. The graphics were like Commodore 64 kind of quality. But I think it was because you got to use a mouse. It was like, whoa, and it was like an adult game. You know, you felt kind of quite kind of on the edge playing them. But never, they got more advanced. Like, what's other things I can't remember. Yeah. Simon and
no
Sorcerer.
idea what that game is.
That's the Sentinel. You played the Sentinel before. You know what it is.
Probably played it, but it doesn't.
Yeah, that's a good game.
Alien Breed.
Yeah, good game. Too hard though, unfortunately.
F-16 combat pilot. Hard to flight sim on the Amiga. I loved it.
What was that one? That one?
I think it was F-16.
The only one I really got into, but I never really got into it just because it looked impressive, was it was Interceptor. Was it FA Interceptor something or another? I remember the name, the guy that programmed it, called Bob Dinnerman, and he had a really good, nice soundtrack. But the thing that looked most impressive, and you look at it now, it looks laughable. You could do an outside view, and when you press, I think it was the enter for afterburners. All it was it just went yellow. You're like, oh, and it looked amazing. And it was just yellow. That's all it was.
I loved F-16. I loved what was it?
So many of them.
Gunship 2000.
My mates used to play that constantly. Again,
I remember reading. I picked up at a jumble sale an old analog joystick, CH one, really good quality, still got it. And I read you can actually wire it up to the Amiga joystick and get an analog joystick. And I did that with the Gunship 2000. Honestly, it was like night and day from using your traditional digital pressing
to
really using an analog and just inching it over.
These games have to be played in that Defender of the Crown.
Battle Chess.
Oh, Battle Chess. Again, it was an interesting game, but the novelty wears off. The novelty wears off, definitely.
Stunt Car Racer.
Yeah, classic.
I've seen it. I've never really played it because I
think
on the Amiga 500 it was like 3 frames a second.
Apparently, I think the Atari ST one is actually better. But you know what? Surprisingly, one of the, I wouldn't say it's the best version at all, but a really impressive version is the Commodore 64. Now, that is not meant to be able to do vectors, but it does the job. Jeff Crammond was a fucking wizard when it came to something.
Alien Breed.
Oh, so that was Alien Breed 3 or 2, whatever it was. That's Alien Breed. Yeah, Alien Breed 2 is like Doom, but it's like really low res. Alien Breed was good, really nice graphics, nice atmosphere. The problem was, and it's like a lot of these games, I can run out of ammunition too easily. You've got to run out of keys. I can't even bother with stuff like that.
So, Dragon's Breath, never played it.
No.
Speedball 2, brilliant game.
You know, see, I've never played it.
You played, you got to play it 2-player.
Is it a 2-player game?
Yeah, I remember playing with my mate on his Amiga 600. And it's great playing head-to-head.
Yeah, maybe that's what I missed out. I never played it 2-player.
It's just like a soccer game.
Well, I know the game. I know exactly. I have played it, but I've never really gotten into it. I don't know why, but
Cadaver. I got that.
That was by Bitmap Brothers again as well, wasn't it?
But it wouldn't run on the Amiga 500 Plus. You got back the first. It crashed after onto the second dungeon you went into.
Oh, that's a bit annoying.
I always wanted to play it.
Yeah. That's unfortunate.
What's this one?
Kick-Off 2. Kick-Off. I like the original Kick-Off, and then Sensei Soccer came along and just basically pissed all over it from a high height.
Paradroid 90, never played it.
Yeah, Paradroid in the C64 is good. Never played the Amiga one. It just looks slightly better graphics.
AR 80 and all-terrain racing.
Again,
never played it.
Not familiar with that one at all.
Never played Quack.
No.
Never played California games.
Why? This is a fact. Nobody in Britain wants to play
California.
American games. They don't want to do BMX. They don't want to do how far you can throw a frisbee. They don't want to do juggling a beanbag on your head.
The Chaos Engine. I bought that game. I played it. I could finish it. It was brilliant. I loved it.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never. Again, you know what? I think the problem that I had is just what we spoke about earlier on. I had so many copied games, and I never really played anyone for any of them.
I remember it was one of the games I waited to get released.
Yeah, I mean, graphically, it's phenomenal. It really is. So anyway, getting back to that, so that's the games that you've got with it, and as you said, Neil, for a sort of casual game or somebody who just wants to kind of revisit the past, I mean, it's 120 quid, that's what it retails at. You know, if you're a nerd, you can put other stuff on it. You can quite easily get an SD card, download games. For your average casual gamer, the chances are you're not going to have a clue how to download ROMs, so that's fine. But I mean, I would say probably the 25 games there, about 20.
It advertises WHD load compatible right on the box there. So.
But again, for your casual gamer, he's going to have no idea at all. But yeah, so I mean, why did I buy one? Again,
because you're gullible.
Nah, the reason I bought one, I wasn't. I mean, I'm kind of late to the party. That's been out for a while. The reason I bought one is because a couple of guys, like Lawn Boys Post 1975, he's done a lot of reviews. Del Boys, he bought his. He's been raving about it, and I have to say, it's bloody brilliant. You know what? Again, and it's the same with the C64 one and all these wee mini systems. I'm under no illusion that the games that I've got, the systems that I've got, I'm going to switch them on. I mean, we were messing about with the Vectrex just before we started filming, and you were playing one of the games, and I pressed the reset button, and then it just went to a blank screen. I'm like, oh, shit,
panicking.
Is this it? Is this it? Fucked, basically. And fortunately, it wasn't. We took the cartridge out, and it's working fine. But people say, oh, you need to replace the capacitors, and saying to me, you need to replace the capacitors is like saying you need to do a heart bypass. I know you were going to give me a tutorial, and we still need to do that.
It was from before COVID was going to
It was.
You bought the re-soldering.
And I don't know where it is. I have absolutely no idea.
Was it?
Fuck, it was about £9 or something. I don't know where. I know, gutted.
So
I don't know where it is.
I've got spare decent stuff you can buy.
Okay.
So I was going to take him through a quick soldering tutorial. I've even bought kits.
Well, see, I suppose would it be worth my while if you were to teach me the basics of solder and desolder, then I could open up one of my machines and then you need to show me, right, that's a 12 volt capacitor, that's a 2 volt capacitor, and then I can order them up and then just replace them. Would that be something?
Well, you'd have to know. It's easy enough for folks to say, oh, your capacitors.
Yeah, because you need to remember to talk to me.
You have to know how to identify what a capacitor is.
Yeah, let's say that wee plaque, that wee blue thing.
How to know if it's blown or not. So you really need an ESR sensor as well.
See, you're getting me on me.
See the multimeter you've got.
Yeah.
It can do capacitance, but it won't measure capacitance in circuit.
Right.
It'll maybe give you a short. If it's a short, it needs.
Right. You know what? You've said enough. So the reason for somebody like myself is I don't have, when my machines break. I mean, I'm lucky enough that I know guys that can solder and what have you that'll probably fix them for me. But you know, if it gets to a point where stuff stops working, then you know,
just don't buy dodgy eBay stuff like your handheld game you got me to fix the other couple of months ago. Opened it up, and do you know what I realised? All that gunk inside was somebody had put WD-40 in it.
Is that right?
Yeah,
seriously?
Yeah.
Is that what it? Right. Bloody hell.
I mean,
WD-40 shouldn't be used on electric.
Don't put it on electrics.
No.
That's what it was.
Nah, no, right, okay. But no, I think for some, as I said, I'm under no illusion that my original hardware is probably living beyond its life expectation, and it's going to get to a point where over a period of time I'm going to switch something on and it's not going to work, and I'll probably get to a point if I ever do move house in the next 3-4 years, I may think about selling all this stuff and getting something like that. I've got that little Amiga I can plug into my telly, HDMI, boof, there you go, perfect. I mean, if you do buy one of these, what you can also get is one of these. That works perfectly. That actually works. That works just the same. You don't need this to control it. That works a treat. So great. So that's obviously that has got a cord. That thing there. That also works with the C64 Mini. It's actually quite a good controller.
Well, I've got my 8-bit, dude.
Yeah. So yeah, I think it appeals. I think it appeals to people who just want to play Sensi soccer because I've not played it since 1994. They used to go to their mate's house and play it after the pub. And then, for me, I actually look upon that as future-proofing my hobby. Future-proofs that I've got the ability to still enjoy these games long after my hardware's kind of gone. And I mean,
that's what basically I've done with the Mister.
Yeah. Oh, exactly. That's my long-term goal. Yeah.
I sent you pictures a couple of months ago when I was up in the loft. I found the mole links.
No, you never sent a picture.
No.
Right, have you dug it down then?
I know exactly where it is.
All right, so it's moved from there to there now. It's getting
no. It's still where it is.
It's
behind some jackets.
At least you know where it is. Well, Neil and I started. We made part one of what is the definitive best. What is the best 8-bit computer? It's the definitive. We are going to tell you what is
totally unbiased.
Completely unbiased. We did record it for about 2 hours, and then we were going to do part 2, and then
the battery ran out, so we don't know where we got to.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it did. It actually ran out. Fortunately, didn't lose too much, but we do have a part 2 to record, and I think we'll lump it all together. But so you've got that coming up.
Well, I also found out that all the systems we've got are on the Mister, so I've got a wee USB video capture.
Right, so we could maybe
choose one game of each.
We could maybe fire up to that, and we could have when we're talking. We could overlay that or whatever. But yeah, again, I'm not going to get into the Mister because lots of people, the Mister's not retro, blah blah blah. I know it's not retro, but it's something that allows us to enjoy retro games. That's all I care about. I was wanting to buy a Mister about a year ago. I think I was actually unfortunate that at the point I was convinced to buy one, that was when
chips go.
That's when chips just went boof, and you can't buy them. I'm not in any rush to buy it.
If you want to play games, if that's your main interest, Raspberry Pi is perfect. I just like the old computer systems. So.
Well, that's something I was going to talk about, Raspberry Pi for retro games. I mean, I'll bring them across since they're sitting there. I've got numerous.
Christ, you could sell them for a fortune.
Probably could, actually. I've got that. You can hold that up. That is brilliant. That was my mate Mike Hansen made that for me. He's done it in the kind of style of an old Atari with the kind of faux wood on the front of it. That's got a Raspberry Pi 3 in it. Raspberry Pi 3? Yeah, it's a Raspberry Pi 3. Yeah, Raspberry. That's got a Raspberry Pi 3 in it. All I have to do is plug in the HDMI cable. There's the micro SD. I can swap out the micro SD cards. It's got the proper Sanwa buttons, whatever. Awesome. And I've also got that, which is a Raspberry Pi 4. That's a computer. Is that, what's interesting about this? This is like the first computer. I remember going from the Amiga to the PC, and I couldn't believe that the PC had different bits to it, because every computer we had before, it was just I'm saying, isn't it? Before the PC, every computer was just a keyboard with a screen. You know what I mean? Every computer was just a keyboard. Yeah. That was a computer, and then PCs came along, and that's obviously. And that was, I can't remember how much that was. But yeah, getting back to on topic, Raspberry Pis. No, I think that's a bit more than that, mate. course, I've used it about twice.
That's like, I bought a Pi 4. I got a really good deal. I think Amazon had a mistake on the prices. 4 gigabyte one. I'll take that, bro. Do you know how many times I've used it?
Once.
I bought a nice case for it and everything.
And yeah, getting back to Raspberry Pi. The thing for me is, excuse me, the lag. I know, fucking lag, but lag is noticeable. If you're playing a Raspberry Pi on a modern TV, there's lag in that. For arcade games, it's not so noticeable on like it's not so noticeable on like playing consoles. But see, if you play like an Amiga game, you play not an Amiga game. If you play like 1942, there is maybe a third of a second delay from you moving the joystick, and that just it depends. Again, if you plug one of these into like a small TV, it's fine. That big TV there's got a kind of game mode, but I just find it just annoys me.
I think it depends if you're using which controller you use. If you're using something that's directly wired into the GPIO port.
Well, that thing there works perfectly. If you're using it on like an old TV, like a smaller TV, if you use it on something like that, it's if you weren't a kind of geek like me, you probably, and that was the only thing you had, you'd probably be over the moon with it. And it's fantastic. I mean, you stick a 128 gig SD card in, you can download pre-built packs, and you've got access to 10,000 games. I mean, that's technically all you need. You don't need anything else.
That's what you were saying earlier. You don't see them on the Facebook Marketplace anymore. No,
which is good, because that used to really get my tits. I mean, RetroPie is obviously a project that's been written. It's by a group of enthusiasts. They don't charge you anything for it. The ROMs are technically nobody actually owns ROMs.
I noticed that Raspberry Pi when the RetroPie was new, and all the forums were full of people helping each other and getting really friendly. Then it got into the shysters in the wee flats in Manchester. Remember you looked it up. Selling them, ripping folk off.
For like 200 quid.
And the forums started getting people, why isn't this working? Oh, I want to do this right now. I can't do this. It's a shite. Everything like that. Yeah. It started coming, and I just started losing interest in helping people and giving support. It's saying now, it's not as bad with the Mister community, but it's starting. You get people coming, was it the Sega Saturn core is getting produced now, but unfortunately the lead developer is in the Ukraine and his city's been taken over by Russians.
Yes,
and there was somebody moaning, it says, when's it going to get done? I want this now. And he just basically got, I'll give him his due, he did post an apology about after he was told what happened. But it's just the attitude of people. It's an open source project, but they're not giving into it.
It's just this, and I experience this now and again on YouTube. It's this sense of entitlement people have. They're partaking in something completely free, whether it's watching videos like this or whether it's enjoying an emulator which is completely free, and then they start criticising them. Why didn't you do this? And I mean, I put out videos looking at whatever, the Raspberry Pi or the Amiga, and somebody will say, "Oh, you didn't. It wasn't a very thorough review. You never looked at this. You never looked at that." And I'm like, "Fuck off! It's my channel. I'm just talking about it. I don't give a shit what you think."
There's only
just assholes.
One YouTuber I got into a wee argument with because he was an advocate. It was reviewing basically a battery conditioner, radio control for controlling radio control batteries, for like balancing them and checking their output. It's something I've got, something I've used for a long time, and something that does its job brilliantly. He gets it, tries to use it to balance, these Tesla wall things and big sets of batteries, and says it's crap. And it also can check your radio control output. But I never use that. And he's using it for the purposes of not what it's for. And he's putting it down. I said, "Do you not read the manual?" "Oh, I never read manuals." I thought, "What? No, you can't." So, unsubscribed. It's a shame. He wasn't good, but he's one of these...
It's not Big Clive, I hope, no.
No. He was one of these blokes that he's just gone... got full of himself. He was really good when he started off, but he's kind of got full of himself.
I mean, I'm guilty of that sometimes. And I've never made any videos that I call reviews. I don't reviews, because reviews is playing a game and then giving you some your comments on it. But I mean, I'll play a game, especially in live streams. Someone will say, "Play this game." I've never heard of it. Load it up, and they'll go, "Oh, fuck, oh, pish." And then, "Oh, you should have read. Oh, I can't believe you don't read the instructions." Well, you know, if I was going to read the instructions in every single game I get asked to play, I'd end up playing about 2 or 3 games, and you know,
I like to dive in the game, play about, and then if I'm not too sure, I'll read the instructions.
Yeah.
If I buy new hardware, the first thing I do is open the instructions on the bus home or whatever, and I'm reading them. But if it's a game, I'll dive into it, and then if I'm stuck on something, I'll look at the instructions. Like, have you ever read the manual to Excel?
Didn't even know there was one. That's all right. That's really. Oh, there's an online thing, isn't there?
I've done some big Excel spreadsheets and had to write using obscure commands and everything like that. And I've had to read it just to be able to use it. But most of the things you don't need to.
Yeah. But so that's what we were talking about. Raspberry Pi. It's, you know, for your kind of casual gamer, it's fantastic. Yeah. But I've kind of cooled off a lot towards Raspberry Pis. I mean, I've got quite a few. I never really
it does crack me up when people call themselves pro level.
What's that?
I'm a pro gamer. What do you get paid? I've got pro joystick.
But that, do you know, it's one of these buzzwords. It's like you get the buzzword now is
I'm an amateur.
You get crisps, they're called loaded fries, loaded such and such, loaded what the fuck. You get street food. It's just basically people selling food in the street, but at high street prices.
Stuff you'd buy from a van.
It's like we were talking about earlier on about you were looking at
street food's a square sausage with brown sauce.
What's the other thing? We were talking. You were before we came on air. We were talking. You were looking at we'll not see where it is, but we're talking about a flat in Western Hills.
We'll not see where it is.
And anyway, we won't mention the price, but they're looking for the ridiculous price, and we were just having a laugh at if you're ever buying a flat or a house and it says, quirky or full of character, means it's fucking run down.
Do it up.
Or what's it? Ideal project for first time buyer.
Potential. But this one's featured on street parking. You're going to leave your car unless there is.
No offence meant to any Western Hills people.
But mad.
Yeah, and then of course there's the what was it? Surprisingly spacious means it's fucking the size of a box. Pokey. Yeah. It's quite funny if you look at like early computer games, and you looked at the cassette inlay, it would have like features, high score table, a track screen, what else? 100% machine code, and it boasted like
full colour.
Aye, full colour. It's just ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. But anyway, so Raspberry Pi. I mean, don't get me wrong. If you're on a low budget, or you want to get into video games, you've not played video games for years, you want to start replaying your Commodore 64 games, I would say they're not as good for computers. You do need like a keyboard, and you can buy like Bluetooth keyboards.
Well, you one you've got there.
Yeah, what are you talking about? Oh, that Raspberry Pi thing. Yeah. But
I mean, when I started my PhD, the idea was to use Raspberry Pis because they came out a year after I started. I'd read about them. I was actually speaking to the bloke that was it up to the bloke by email, and he was supporting what I was wanting to do.
mm-hmm.
I was going to take them out to Africa and use them in education about public health, etc. But then I got into thinking about it. Okay, the Raspberry Pi itself at the time it was only 15 quid.
Mm-hmm.
But then you need a screen, you need a keyboard, you need a mouse, you need power.
Yeah.
So computer might be bugger all, but it's all the ancillary stuff you've got to get.
Exactly.
And then would they get into it? What else could they use it for? And one of the biggest things, if you go into the African villages, is there's always some enterprising chap with a wee generator and a telly and a DVD.
You can hire them or something. Yeah. You can hire the generator for like an hour.
I mean, I remember going around and all the African kids running about doing kung fu poses because they had a load of DVDs from Hong Kong martial arts. It's absolutely brilliant. But it did have to have some other use as well. So, I just moved away from that idea altogether. So.
But no, Raspberry Pis are great. They're probably the cheapest, most cheerful way.
Yeah.
If you want to get into playing old games from the past, then get yourself a Raspberry Pi. I mean, you can easily download a pack and you can be enjoying games. But I think for us, we've got, especially me, I've got the 4 systems. I mean, I know you've got a lot as well. But no, Raspberry Pis are great. Absolutely. But just before we came on air, I did mention a couple of weeks ago when we were at the computer club, I ended up just playing one system and one system alone. It was the Vectrex with Vec Fever, I think it's called Vec Fever cartridge, which you can't get for love nor money. There's only one bloke that actually makes them, and apparently you basically need to know the guy to get one. I did contact him on Atari Age? That's the website. He's never got back to me, but they go for
open source.
I don't know, but he's the only bloke that makes them. So I thought to myself, right, what can I do? And one of the guy at the computer club that he took his Vectrex along. He said there's a thing called the Pytrex, which is a Vectrex cartridge, but you have to plug in a Raspberry Pi Zero. I don't quite understand what the Raspberry Pi is doing. Is that the brains of the operation or something? Is that or what's it doing?
I have no
idea. Don't know how it works. Anyway, it arrived today. So Neil very kindly gave me a Raspberry Pi Zero, and we were playing Battlezone. I think Tempest works. I need to get. In fact, if anyone here, I need to get MAME-ROM's version 0.129. If anyone can,
229.
No, or 22. Is it 229?
229.
Is it 2? Yeah, sorry, 0.229. So I'm looking for all the. They need to be split ROMs as well. I'm looking for like all your Asteroids, Star Wars, basically all the vector games. Anyone can.
Pretty sure I've got them on my laptop. It's not.
For 229, you think?
Yeah, not 229, but they haven't changed for years.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I mean the ones that we've tried. I think we've got about 6 working.
So I got the last main set before Pleasure Dome closed down. So.
Yeah, no, that'd be good. But if anyone can point me in the right direction or give me a link to them, I mean, or be even better if you could zip them up. I mean, it'd probably come in about a meg for all of them. So if somebody can give me 0.229 ROMs for the Vectrex, that would be excellent. One other thing I just want to quickly touch on, and again, it's something that we've spoke about a lot of the time. I mean, retro gaming seems to be going through a real sort of renaissance period at the moment.
One thing you forgot about your Vectrex, the films we were watching.
Oh, aye.
Film player or something on the setting. That was absolutely amazing.
Yeah, I've never seen that before.
With voice audio.
Aye, and it's obviously like vector
Yeah.
animation, and it's stunning. I mean, it's all well. The one that we were watching
Yeah.
was like Japanese manga, and it's like it's rounded and it's beautiful the way it kind of warps in. It's like it's the reason I love the bike trek so much. It's what I will do is I'm going to do. I'm going to sit on a light one actually. Just probably fade away at that. Oh my god, that's better.
But you never put the kettle on, like.
I know. Well, yeah, right. Do you want? Tell you what, I'm going to put the kettle on. I'm going to put the kettle on. You can.
You can press stop button. How do I
You
press
can.
stop?
Are we going to pause it? Are we going to pause it? No, listen. Right, when I disappear. Right, anyway, we're feeding water. In fact, I'm not going to apologise with the crisps. I don't normally eat when I make videos, but anyway. So, yeah, the retro gaming market, it seems to be, I mean, it's been probably for the last couple of years, prices of original hardware is just stupid, absolutely insane. I mean, I don't know what drives these prices. Obviously, there's demand, but if somebody was to put a stupidly high value in something, there's people it's going to pique interest, and that in itself then sets the sort of price for things, isn't it?
As they say, the market finds its own rate.
Well, the thing is, you've mentioned before on eBay, if you look at, well, you've got, I was going to say Atari links, you've got the computer links. How much is that going for at the moment?
Still there.
So this guy who's literally been selling this for what? At least 2 years?
At least 8 years.
And is he selling it at the same price?
I think he knocked 30 quid off it.
What's it up to at the moment? But even stuff that's like commonly a Commodore 64 or Spectrum, you're probably looking at.
Oh, he's taking 100 quid off.
What's it? Is it down to?
It's down to 499.
What a bargain!
Oh,
bargain!
No, that's a different bloke. It's a different one. That is a different one. It's a 48k. I've got 96.
Yeah, the thing is, you could be misled and think that you're actually sitting on a gold mine. I mean, the Vectrexes go for £300-400 now. It's just insane. I mean,
I remember I was at Comic-Con with an ex-girlfriend down in Birmingham about 15 years ago, and there was a stall had 2 Vectrexes on it. So how much of it? They were 90 quid each. I was tempted, and I wish I'd have bought one.
You never. Well, actually, if you live in Glasgow, specifically Langside place, Langside.
Yeah, I used to live in Battlefield.
Battlefield. There's a Heart Foundation shop in Battlefield. Now, this was as of a couple of weeks ago, selling a Vectrex for 250 quid. One of the guys that goes to the computer club, he popped his head in and he saw it, and he's got about 4 or 5, so he didn't want to buy it, but he said, "Oh, how much is that?" And he went, "Oh, we don't know, we don't even know what it is." He said, "It's actually a very obscure console."
Yeah.
And they're like, "Oh, how much should we charge?" He says, "Well, I would charge 250. He says they're probably worth about 300-400. They're probably selling that on eBay. So if you want to get yourself a bargain, get across the, it might still be there. And the thing is, most people are going to want a charity shop expecting to not pay very much money, and they're going to see that for 250 quid. They're probably not even going to know what it is, and they're going to go bollocks to that.
Well, I mean, I used to love going in charity shops. You see a real bargain.
Not anymore.
But now all the good stuff gets sent off to eBay.
Aye. I like going into a charity shop. So does my girlfriend Lee. She buys quite a bit from them. And I was in one couple of weeks ago. Now, I don't do designer wear. I'll buy my jeans for George, whatever. I'm not interested in paying £100 for a pair of jeans. But there was a Lee spotted a shirt. She goes, "Oh, that's a really nice shirt." I think it's like Tommy Hilfiger or something. I mean, "Oh, right, okay." And I thought, "That's nice, yeah, I'll get that." And Lee says, "Excuse me, how much is that t-shirt?" £40. There's a bloody charity shop. And the thing is, they've been given that for nothing. Now, I would imagine the whole point, well, I understand the point of charity shops is twofold, I would imagine. A, it's to raise money for said charity, but surely it's to allow people who don't have much money, they can go to a charity shop and get stuff.
Girlfriend, she used to volunteer in a charity shop in Dunfermline, and the one she did, I forget who it was. I don't know if it's British Art Foundation or something like that. But it's their premium charity shop. All the good stuff gets sent there.
Oh.
All the crap goes to Kirkcaldy.
What you do find is, what I found is, if you go to Subwalk, any posher areas, more upmarket places like Peebles, where Lee's family comes from, you go to the charity shops there and they want daft prices for things. But on the flip side, if you go to car boot sales, we went to one in Dublin Lane about a month ago, and Sassy Cat, which is sitting on the right hand side, that cost me a princely £2. Ooh. I'll like to see that. I love that. I actually said to Lee, "Oh, I love that." I said, "I'm not getting any money." She goes, "I'll buy it for you." "How much?" With £2. And I bought it. And then when she saw it, she goes, "Oh, can I have it?" "No, I've got it. Look at that. I don't have a cat." There's Sassy Cat, £2. So yeah, if you go to posher places, the car boot sales tends to be better stuff. What many car boot sales do you go to them much at all?
Not been one to the years. Again, it's a place where people occasionally ask stupid prices that think they've got something.
Aye. Yeah, I mean, there's one in Falkirk Football Stadium, and it's like the professional car booters, and it's the same shit that they've got. I mean, they're great if you want to buy like dog food or whatever sort of thing, but it's just shit.
See, often I remember I used to be a scout leader, and we used to annually hold a jumble sale.
A jumble sale, that's it's now. What would they call that now?
Bollocks. It was the last one I ever did. I'd ever do it as well. Or they can hold them, but I'm not going to be involved with them. You had all the dealers coming round the day before. We were bringing a van of stuff we'd collected in, and before the van had been opened, they were wanting to give us money so we could just get everything in there without looking at it blind.
Mm-hmm.
Anything decent they were wanting to buy. So come the day of the sale, it was shit.
Aye.
Aye.
I mean,
and we also had it was a charity jumble sale. We had scammers there. Somebody come in, started pretending they were one of the helpers, and were selling stuff and taking the money in.
That's all right, yeah. Bloody hell. But yeah, car boot sales now, they used to be the place to go if you wanted to build up a cheap retro gaming collection. I remember being at one probably about 10 years ago, maybe more than that actually. When I happened across a box with some Mega Drives in it. And I went, "Oh, how much is that?" It was a huge big box, and I said, "How much is that, mate?" He went, "Oh, give me 50 quid, mate." And I gave him the 50 quid. I didn't actually know what was in it. Mm-hmm. When I got it home, it had 3 Mega Drives, multiple controllers, had a Mega CD, fucking games for 50 quid. That was a bargain. But now you go to car boot sales and there's bugger all. The most vintage gaming you're going to get might be you've got an Xbox game or something, or a Wii game. Some Davina McCall's fucking workout or some shit like that. But
I was telling you during our tea break.
What's that?
I was telling you about tea break. You can still get some good stuff on eBay. Like I've got the old Commodore calculator from the 70s.
Okay, I think I think, I mean,
green VFD screen. It was the first one I had as a kid.
mm-hmm.
And I told you I got it for £12.43. Usually they go for about 35, 40 quid. So.
Yeah. I mean, I've not bought off eBay for quite a long time. But I'll tell you a lie, I bought something about a month ago, the old Casio VL tone. I bought one of them. Well, I noticed the sound. In fact, maybe I can get you to have a look at it.
Yeah.
The volume control, you can put it up loud and it'll be really low, and then you go like that, and it'll go really loud. So
give it a squish your contact cleaner.
Is it? Or maybe
that might work. If not,
can I maybe let you take it away and you can have a look at it for me, mate?
I'm walking.
I'm
walking.
Oh, right, yeah. You can take a look at it all the time. But I mean, I think eBay's still probably the place where you can still. Because what I was going to say is anybody that is kind of wanting to start collecting, building up a kind of collection of original hardware and games, where would you say is the best place to go? I mean, let's face it, the bubble has burst. You're going to be paying over the odds for stuff, but
friends and family.
Right. Thing is, when you think about it, how many hundreds of thousands of Commodore 64s and Spectrums were sold in the UK?
How many are sitting up in lofts doing nothing?
Oh, I'm sure. I remember about.
I
think the only way you're likely to get a bargain, and again, even then, it's everybody thinks that everything is rare now. You know, everything's rare. Master System rare. You know, Sonic the Hedgehog Genesis rare. Excuse me.
About the wee handheld. Do you remember the old handheld televisions?
Well, the Sinclair one.
No, not even the Sinclair ones. Just the old Casios with about a 2-inch screen on. People are describing them as rare now. You can't even fucking use them.
Is it the old RF?
The old RF.
What about? I mean, you've got an interest in watches, which we can talk about another day. But I mean, the old Casio watches, the original, the digital watches. Is there kind of these easy to buy? I mean, or did people just throw them out, or can you?
There are collectors for the old ones, but you'll probably get about 25 quid at the most. Casio's not it's a mass brand.
I mean,
if it's an automatic, yeah. I mean, this is a Seiko Saab 17 Alpinist. This was only available in Japan.
Right.
I paid 275 quid for it because they're now discontinued. People are flogging them for 600 quid, and they're getting it. People want it. So.
I actually heard, getting back to gaming for a second, I actually heard my niece was telling me have you heard of the Steam Deck?
Yeah,
you know what it is. I think I did touch on it recently. I watched I didn't watch a review. I was one of the guys that's on my channel. He bought one, and he says it's amazing. He says absolutely amazing, and it's a big but. You need to have a power socket quite close by. It's 90 minutes and it's dead. Now, to my mind, the whole point of a handheld is it's portable. What is it? I mean, you're more techie than me. You're again a blind baboon's more techie than me. But why is it even now in the year 2022 when we can FaceTime and we can do God knows what else? We've got drones with HD cameras. Why can we not make a battery that lasts more than an hour? What is it? Why can't we do that?
Energy. You've got the energy density. It's called. You got how big is the battery going to be? How much energy can you store in a given space? So obviously they've got limited space.
Is it not about like getting very, very energy efficient hardware? I mean, like the best example I can think of, apart from like a Nokia 3310, but there again, when you think about a Nokia 3310, there was really no display. The original Nintendo DS or the DS Lite.
Yeah.
Honestly, I bought one I bought one maybe 5 years ago, and it was probably about a year later. I mean, I didn't use it regularly, but a year on, you switched it on, and the battery would just last and last and last and last. Now I've got the Nintendo Switch, and you're lucky if you get an hour out of it. You know, that'll always be the stumbling
Well,
block.
you've got fancy graphics, fancy big colour screen, huge colour screen.
Right, and it's the chip.
Much higher resolution.
Mm-hmm.
It's running faster. It's doing more. It gets warmer.
Do you think we'll get to a stage where, probably long after you and I have gone to the big arcade in the sky, do you think you'll have something like the Nintendo Switch handheld and you're going to get like 20 hours out of battery? Do you think with technology can they improve batteries, or is that just not really possible? Do you think?
It's not my field at all. I'd say no. So you've got all these people trying to say, "Oh, we can do it wirelessly."
Oh, you can charge
wirelessly, and you'd be able to set up a room with the points all around, and you walk into a room, but you lose energy logarithmically. As soon as you get energy coming away from the source, the power just drops. That's why you get all these arseholes again, anti-5G. They have to be a lot closer because they're putting out a lot of energy, and the energy drops off very quickly. That's why they have to have more points of it. So I don't think wireless charging, carrying around, and it charges while you're just using it.
So you don't think that's never going to happen?
You'll see scanners on Kickstarter trying to flog it, but
yeah. Must admit, I mean, the phone that I bought about a year ago, it was a Redmi, it's a Japanese thing. I can charge it up in the morning, or I'll charge it up during the night, which you're not supposed to do in case it fires, but I do it, and it will last me like a day and a half, and that's with heavy usage. A day and a half.
I've got OnePlus.
That'll be similar. You got pretty good battery in that, yeah. Aye. But I don't know. I don't see the point. The thing is, I'm one of these bloody idiots that I see something like that. A portable. The thing that attracted me to the Steam Deck is it's a portable PC. I can play all my game bases, all my Steam games, and all that kind of bollocks. And then you realise that the battery doesn't actually last. But here's the thing: I never actually use the damn things. But we were talking about it earlier on. We've got all this tech and we just never use it.
I mean, just this week, the hinge on my laptop broke. So,
was that thing you were going to go up and then you ended up getting involved in trying to fix it?
I fixed it. Unfortunately, I screwed the screen while I was doing it.
No, for Christ's sake.
So the screen's perfect, you can see it, but there's a big white bright bit on it, and it's absolutely you can use it, but it's painful to use. So I've got a new screen coming tomorrow. So I was sitting there the whole of this week. Should I just buy a new laptop? Or should I buy a Chromebook? Because that Chromebook can do like almost everything I wanted to do. Well, then I saw this laptop I wanted. Oh, that looks good. Brilliant price. It was 150 quid off. Then I thought, the laptop I've got does everything I wanted to do.
And what's wrong? That's the one that's screwed, is it? Yeah.
So I just bought a replacement screen for 40 quid. It'll take 20 minutes to fix.
Yeah. I know that's what happens. You end up thinking, I'll just get a new one, and then you end up spending 150 quid with those you say for 40 quid. You could have got a brand new one. I know. So anyway, listen, right, we've kind of been waffling on quite long enough, but before we go, I think we've got a couple of questions. From last week's Friday Waffle. Right, Wee Bob, he wants to be called Wee Bob. Great to listen along. Cheers for answering my question. Sorry I didn't make the stream. You did get it right. I'm called a Wee Bob because my dad was also called Robert. It was my nickname to distinguish between the two of us.
Dad's big boy.
'Cause I don't like calling him Wee Bob because he's a lot taller than me. it just feels wrong. But I don't know why.
Big Wee Bob.
But then in Scotland, I mean, Tony Temple, he calls me Big Al. In Scotland, you tend to call him, Big Jimmy,
Big or wee.
Big Al. Or, you tend not to call big people wee. I digress. Question for next time. You can go first. Have you ever, I've got a crisp on my screen, have you ever done any gaming in a work environment? For example, the lead up to Christmas. My work, not much gaming, but we do the Christmas quizzes. I did try to take my my SNES Mini in a few years back, but couldn't get a stream to try it on. Yeah, did you ever do any kind of video gaming when you're working?
Usually when I had a corner office and nobody was looking at it.
That was pretty much me. I mean,
but not socially, no.
Yeah, nah. But the only time I think I've ever actually played video games when I've been at work was about probably 20 years ago, and there was a wee online pool game, and one of my mates, we used to say like, "Bastard, right, we're going to go play it," and then we'd always have an Excel spreadsheet open, we could play it. But nah, I've always.
What was it? The Leisure Suit Larry games used to have a keyboard shortcut.
Spreadsheet.
They'd take you to a spreadsheet or something.
But apparently, talking about Tony Temple, Tony does a wonderful podcast called the Ted Dabney Experience, and he talks to all the real early pioneers of the video games, early guys that worked for Atari, and I can't remember who it was he was talking to, and he said that it might be the guy that wrote Asteroids or something, I can't remember, but he said that the programmers used to have like when they were programming the game, they would always want to put in like wee extra features that the Atari didn't want them to do, but they would have a quick shortcut, so if somebody walked in, you'd go boop, boop, and then it would take them to like the other one.
I remember when I was at East Kilbride, the CFD suite had 4 SGI workstations in. I forget which ones they were. I did have an O2 in my house for a wee bit. Have you ever used IX on a proper workstation? These things,
when they
they're about 25-30 grand each.
Mm-hmm.
But Doom came as a demo with them, and that was brilliant. Running on an SGI workstation. This is back in about 1999. Doom on a huge monitor.
I don't know. I mean, from a job point of view, maybe 20 years ago, my work was kind of quieter, and you could get away with Skyping. But I think the last 20 years, my work was just through the roof. And getting the chance to play any games is non-existent. Anyway, thank you very much, Bob. Yeah, good stuff. Right, and the last question. The reason there's not many questions this week is because last week I did a live Friday Waffle, and obviously you guys are watching it as I'm doing it, so you don't get as many questions. But right, Milfy Swinbuckle. 2 short questions this week. Now, Milfy, usually you've always got to kind of really give them a bit of thought. Number 1, actor crossover question. Which actor, actress, technically you shouldn't use the word actress, they're all called actors.
Who cares?
Which actor from outside Britain could take part in a classic British show and play a classic role in said show and make a reasonable job of it, ignoring accents and language barriers, and vice versa with British actors and actresses in classic foreign shows? Bloody hell, which actor from outside Britain could take part in a classic British show and play a classic role in said show? In other words, I really like to see Keanu Reeves coming across to EastEnders or something, I don't know.
I was thinking of Linda Lovelace in Upstairs, Downstairs.
I mean,
Downton Abbey.
You know, one thing that's always puzzled me greatly is when you get a Hollywood film, like an American film, and they've got everybody's American, but they pick a Scottish person to play an American. One of the examples is Pearl Harbor, which is a fucking awful film, but they've got Spud.
Yeah.
It's fun. I mean, he's playing an American. Why would you have that?
He's in Black Hawk Down as well.
I just don't. And then
There was.
I don't understand that.
It was about a film about Joan of Arc about 20 years ago. All the French had English accents. And then you got the evil English came to attack Joan of Arc. And they all had fucking Scottish accents.
I mean, and we'll not talk about any Sean Connery films because he just plays. I'm from Russia. Yes, I'm from Moscow. Don't you know? But yeah, I mean, in another film, what was it? And I have to say, he played a bloody brilliant part. Was there's a series on Netflix which is really good. I thoroughly recommend it, called Ozark, and it's down in the deep south. And what the hell is his name? He was in Braveheart. A brilliant Scottish actor. What's he called again?
Mel Gibson. James Cosmo.
No, the other one, not James Cosmo. The other one.
What's his name with check mark?
He
was in Sons of Anarchy.
Yeah, he played. What's his name again? Bloody hell! He plays an American, and he plays it brilliantly. It's just bizarre. If there's any film directors watching this, I'd love to know why that is. I mean, why from a non-film producer type person like you and I, what if you're making a film based in America and it's about Pearl Harbor and it's got Americans in it, why would you say, I want to get what's his name, Ewan somebody or other from Trainspotting, Ewan Bremer? Is it because you just want somebody who looks like him? Because you wouldn't get him because
cheap.
I mean, but there must be a plethora of American actors. I don't understand it. Then, of course, you have a TV program that I started watching, and it became an absolute chore to watch. But I watched it just because I didn't get to this was Peaky Blinders. I don't. I didn't enjoy it. But they had what's his face? Him out in Jurassic Park. No, not the guy that was in The Fly. The other one.
Not Jeff Goldblum.
No, the other one. He's in the new Jurassic Park. He plays a Southern Irishman. Oh. Okay. Surely could have got Jerry Adams for bloody bugger all. I mean, I don't know. But yeah, Milty, you're asking about what actor American? Could you imagine any actors taking part in?
No, I'm trying to think. Actors who are going to any role.
Well, let's tell you what.
Steve Buscemi. He could get into it.
Well, tell you, let's pick a classic. What about George and Mildred? If it was going to be two Americans, who could we have?
Mildred. What's the name? That annoying, unfunny woman who's dead.
No, you're thinking Miranda Hart. She's British, mate.
No, not her. No, she's dead. She's.
Oh, you said funny. No, it can't be Miranda then.
I said unfunny.
Oh, funny. Well, it could be Miranda. But she's not.
Loads of plastic surgery, but she's dead.
But she's dead. Barbara Cartland. No. Sylvester Stallone's missus. Oh, yeah. I can see her. Joan Rivers.
Yeah, that's
Joan Rivers. Yeah, she would make quite a good Mildred. Brian Roper. You need to have a coat. Do you know that this is a fact? Do you know that when George and Mildred was out, George Roper, or whatever his name was, George, he was only like 40 years old. 15 years younger enough. Brian Murphy.
Like Steptoe, isn't it? He was only about 5-10 years older than his son in Steptoe.
Yeah, I'm trying to think who could play bald bloke.
Oh, Schwarzenegger.
Mildred, have you taken the rubbish out? Put the kettle on and make me a cup of tea. Yeah, moving on.
But going by that, you just have to watch the US adaptations of British comedies.
A bit like The Office.
It's like, yeah, have
Yeah.
you seen the pilot that they did for Red Dwarf?
No.
It's on YouTube.
I can imagine that was diabolical.
Yeah.
Was it? Right, anyway, to swing it round, vice versa, what British actors could appear in classic? Right, here we go. Starsky and Hutch. Who could we have? Who could we have?
Ewan McGregor and Robert Bell.
Obviously, Dennis Waterman, he would be ideal, but he would play Hutch. Was Hutch the blonde one? I was. I Starsky.
And what about Robin Asquith?
Aye, Robin Asquith and what's his face? Man About the House.
Sid James.
No, not Sid James. Sid James could be, if it's the professionals. I don't know. I'm not talking about that. No, what's his name? Richard O'Sullivan. Richard O'Sullivan and Robin Asquith.
Yeah,
they would be perfect for Starsky and Hutch. What about Huggy Bear?
Oh,
There's going to be a token black guy that used to that was back from the 70s.
John Conte.
John Conte. What else we could have? We could have John Conte as Huggy Bear.
Precious McKenzie.
We could Precious Night Boxer. we could have what's his face? Oh bloody hell! He was in the Superstars. He absolutely dominated.
John Conte.
No, John Conte was. That's what he made. What's his name? Brian Jacks. Brian Jacks would be Hutch. No, he could if Brian Jacks got his hair dyed black because he had a nice perm, he would be an ideal Starsky. Right. Secondly, from Milty, lots of films based on computer games have been made, most of which are utter crap. Which computer game that has not had this treatment do you think might make a half decent film?
Leisure Suit Larry.
Yeah, good. Well, that would. Well, and who would star in it? Obviously, Robin Asquith. Because what other games? I mean, the thing about games is,
I'd like Half-Life could be good. The original Half-Life.
Aye, or even the second one,
Yeah.
Half-Life 2.
Well, what about Half-Life 3?
Did I play that? Was that the one in the VR? Oh no, well, technically, Half-Life 3 is technically Alex. I think Half-Life 2 would be the thing about computer games is you go into a situation, you go into a particular area, and it's just shooting things. You go up in the lift and you get the key and you shoot things. If you transform that into a film, it's ultimately it's just a series of like.
I remember, was it? Oh, like the original. Well, have you seen the film of Doom?
Yeah, The Rock.
Yeah,
but he doesn't call himself The Rock anymore, does he? Dwayne Chambers or whatever his name's. Dwayne. What's his name? Dwayne. Small Stone. Yeah. It's not the greatest. It could have been Doom.
Yeah. But they did have a bit in there where they went into like first-person shooting.
Yeah, aye. None of the thing that disappointed me with Doom is none of the baddies. You want to see the big black hole, the giant tomato, the Keiko demon. You want to see the pink kind of bull that changes you. None of these were in it. Maybe they would push it. It was a horror film. Yeah, it was like kind of aliens, but a lot shiter. I don't know. Is there any film that you think could actually make any game that you think could actually transfer? I think you're probably right.
The only thing is, it's like, and even in was it Halo, they change a lot. Script editors and the budget gets hold of it for what they can do. So.
I mean, a game that I would never play. I don't think it's a game. It's more like an interactive movie. It'd be something like maybe Metal Gear Solid or possibly, or some of the Final Fantasy games. They might transfer well into films. I don't know, but yeah, I don't know. I don't think. But what's the difference now? It's just cutscene. But then
run from A to B, cutscene, A to B, cutscene.
See, when you think about it though, Ricky Gervais actually commented on. He said films now, like all your Marvel films, there's constant Marvel, whatever, fucking Marvel this, Marvel that, all this. Ricky Gervais said films nowadays are just a series. It's like being in a fairground ride. It's just a series of action, and then you
Yeah,
jump
but-
into another action,
but-
and then
but-
another action. There's no.
But you've got the corollary to that is the best way to ruin a good film is to put Ricky Gervais in it.
You're not a fan of Ricky Gervais?
Oh, God.
Scanny Silence. I actually do like him. I
Oh,
have to
yeah.
say.
What was that? Stardust. Brilliant film. Then fucking Ricky Gervais up.
Stardust.
Yeah, I think it was
No.
Stardust.
No, I do like him. I know he's not for everybody.
Same character.
Yeah. The last part is what film would make. I mean, Super Pipeline 2. You're trying to unblock a pipe. I've seen plenty adult films that can be based on Super Pipeline 2. I suppose.
I've never seen
And,
that.
yeah. Anyway, listen, I think that's quite enough us waffling for a bit. So if you're still with us, thank you very much. The interesting thing, if I look at my analytics on YouTube, you can put out an hour's video and it'll say average watch time 3.5 minutes.
2 seconds.
So yeah, very few people actually watch to the very, very end. If you have, thank you very
You
much.
should put those digits in the end. Questions asked, answered at the end.
What's that?
You remember you can put chapters.
What do you mean?
And titles.
Yeah. That's too much. That's way too much work. So anyway, listen, obviously this is pre-recorded. Please get your questions or your topics or whatever in for the next one. Blackpool, as I mentioned, I'm going to be doing in Blackpool on the 1st and 2nd of October. It would be good if you can come along. If you're going to come along, get your ticket spot. If you do see me, come up and say hello.
I've got
Should be
tickets
fun.
for BC Dixie then. So.
Also, you're maybe going to come down with me. So, and listen, I just want to thank Neil for taking part in that. It's always a pleasure having you in, mate.
I'll send you the bill for the Pi Zero.
Yeah, fantastic. And as always, guys, thank you very much for watching. Have a fantastic weekend. See you later.